Hey guys, Lacey here from Hooked on Owls and bringing you a Tuesday tutorial. Today we're going to be making a DIY faux fur pom-pom. So what you're going to need to get this job done: a pair of super sharp fabric scissors, a nice sharp pointed needle, some yarn or string of your choosing. You can use a cotton thread, you can use pretty much any kind of yarn, as long as it's not like a single ply or something. I tend to use whatever kind of yarn I'm making the hat out of that I'm going to attach it to. That way when I sew in the ends, it's pretty much invisible. Today I just grabbed some fingering weight black yarn to go ahead and make this one with real quick to show you. You're going to need some fiber fill or filling of your choice. And of course you're going to need some faux fur. Now I picked this one up at Joann's. They have this sheet. You can tell it's missing a section because I've already made one. It's only this big. And I think it ran about like $3.99 or so, which isn't too bad. But I also had a coupon for, it was either 50 or 60% off. So really I think I got this for about $2, which is fantastic when you see that I've already made one pom-pom and I can get at least 3 more out of this, which makes them only about 50 cents each, which is quite affordable and just really well priced. With this style pom-pom we're going to make today, it doesn't have like loops or buttons and anything fancy like that. This is just a super quick, simple one that you're going to attach to a hat and keep attached to a specific hat. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I am going to tell you right off the bat, this project does get kind of messy. There will be fur everywhere. So if you have a flat surface that you can easily wipe down, I highly recommend that. So first I'm just going to cut a chunk. Now obviously if you have a specific size pom-pom you want to make, you're going to want to do a little bit more of a precise measure. I really don't have anything specific that I make my pom-poms. Just kind of depends on the hat that I make. I can make smaller ones or bigger ones, little tiny itty bitty ones, whatever floats your boat for this project. I'm going to make just kind of like a medium size. I think they're probably, when it's done, like 1.5 inches or so around. All you're going to want to do is just cut off a chunk. If you're not too keen on measuring, it doesn't matter that much, because this one has so much fur that it's going to look a lot bigger than you would think. And that's definitely something you want to keep in mind, is even though, yes, my square is only, what is that, maybe a 4x4, if even, it's going to look a lot bigger than this when I'm all done, because it is going to be filled and there's all that hair. And look how huge that pom-pom looks. Isn't that cool? Just so awesome. So first what you're going to do is cut a square shape, and then you're just going to kind of round out the edges. Now this does not have to be perfect, so please don't think that you have to have the roundest edges and you have to be so precise with this, because you don't. And that is really the beautiful thing about it, is that anyone can make these with little to no skill. That's why they're my favorite. They're super quick, super easy, super adorable. Basically we're just rounding out all 4 corners to have a rounded design. Now I personally like to go through and real quick pick off any of the fuzzes that are going to fall off anyway, so that I'm not dealing with them later. Makes it a lot easier at the end of the pom-pom. You're not sitting there trying to sew it together and you have fuzz just falling through everywhere. Yeah, go through and just get all that out. And like I said, it gets messy. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Now that we have our circle, ooh, so fancy, let's go ahead and get a nice good length of our yarn or string, again, whatever you choose to use. And I'm pretty sure I know what hat this is going to get attached to, so I am using a black because I know it will hide easily. And like I said, these are sew-on style pom-poms. They're not going to be detachable unless you want to cut them and things like that. So keep that in mind when you do make this project. So what we're going to do, super simple, super fast, is we're going to come in about that far, was that like a 1/4 inch or so from the edge, and we're just going to start weaving back and forth. You know, it's really complicated. We're going to want to leave a decent length tail because we're going to want to pull it through at the end. So I'd say maybe about, let's see, about that much should be good. A couple inches. Okay. Now we're just going to go around and we're going to continue around the edge of the entire circle. And I try my best to keep it low underneath the fur when I pull it through, just real low and close to that bottom. That way I'm not getting a whole bunch of fur trapped in it and pulling it down. I'll do a couple more real quick and then I'll speed up the process and meet you at the end. The exact measurements are not really a big deal. Obviously you don't want them too far apart because you don't want huge chunks. You want it to kind of pull together nice, and I'll show you what I mean. Do you see how that pulls together like that? Isn't that lovely? That's what we're aiming for. Just a nice little pull cord. So we're going to go all the way around and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, so here we are. I've stitched all the way around the outer edging of my first circle, and I'm back here towards the start where I put in my first stitch. Now as you can see, like I said, I tried to keep it nice and low so I'm not grabbing a whole bunch of the hair and matting it down. And all we have to do now is take a bit of our filling here. Now, of course, the amount of filling is going to depend with how big your pom-pom is, how big you want it to be, things like that. And once you have a bit of fiber fill in, you just kind of start to pull and squish it down and keep repeating. Okay, I'd say that's probably pretty good. I don't like to put too much in because they can get a little heavy. That's why I prefer some of these smaller pom-poms to the bigger ones, because I made a big one time and it was so heavy. Okay, now what you're going to want to do, pull our yarn nice and tight, and then we're going to want to tie a couple knots. The first one is the most important because that's going to make sure your hole is cinched nice and shut. Pull it real tight first. Like I said, you're going to want, you know, a fairly strong yarn for this, just so you don't like pull it and have it rip apart on you, because that would just be, ugh, that'd be a pain. Okay, so I just put 2 knots in for now, and if you dig real deep under all the fur, you can feel the hole still there just a little bit, which is fine, because like I said, this pom-pom is not like a super removable one. It's just one you make real quick, nice, super cheap and adorable, and you toss it and sew it on top of your hat, and it's going to stay there. So after I have tied a few knots, I like to come back through and feel where my hole is here, and then I'll just kind of grab from one side of the project and go across to the other side. Trying not to pull out a whole bunch of fur. There we go. And then I will make a couple more knots now that I have put the yarn on opposite sides of the little fur ball. Drop my needle again, because I'm awful about remembering to take them off. Okay. So really, this is all there is to it, you guys. Super simple little pom-pom. I like to go through and just kind of take my needle and pull some of those extra pieces of fur out that got tucked in. No big deal. It pulls right back out, so you can fluff it up real nice. Now when you attach it to your hat, you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to want it to, I like to take the shorter one, stick this part in through the top of the hat so I know where it needs to be centered at. And I take my longer one here, and I'll come around through the hat on one side, work up and around, and I'll make sure to grab a good chunk of this pom-pom as I'm going through, and I'll kind of work it around a couple times, at least a good 5-6 stitches. That way I know that it's going to hold nice and tight to that hat and it won't be coming off. And like I said, if you know what hat you're going to put it on, I like to just use a matching yarn. The last hat I made using this was a purple, and I just used some of that leftover yarn that I had, and I attached it right to the hat with that, and you never even knew that it was there because the yarn blended right in. So there you have it, guys. Super simple, fast, easy DIY faux fur pom-pom. There you go. If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in any future tutorials, please make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you can be brought to attention anytime one is released. So thanks for joining me today, guys, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday with another Tuesday tutorial. Until then, happy crafting.